Women just know. Stop pretending that you don't know. Stop collecting people and experiences in your life that you're keeping around for longer than is necessary because you're afraid that your intuition about them might be right. And so you're just kind of keeping them around, hoping that they prove your intuition wrong. It's never wrong. It's never wrong. Stop delaying the inevitable. Welcome to the Florence Given Show. I have been so excited to record this episode all day because something happened in my morning that caused me to realize yet again the importance of following my intuition before the bad thing happens, okay? My intuition is a facts machine. I never question that shit, ever. I believe more in the invisible than I do in the visible. I believe more sharply in my intuition than I believe in logic and reason. And I think that that's when women get our fucking power back, is when we believe in our feelings and senses and hunches and intuitive pings about things before we fuck around and wait to see and find out if we're right. I want to talk about intuition. Specifically, when women know things in our fucking bodies. And then we do this silly little dance that we've all been taught to do where we rationalize it away. Oh, I'm sure they didn't mean it like that. Oh, well, maybe they were tired. Well, I'm sure given the day that they've had. Oh, I'm probably overreacting. It's probably my past. They didn't know I had a past with this thing, and so how would they know? I'm sure, da 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 da. And even if we don't say this out loud, we're doing it in our heads all the time because we feel bad for like judging people based on a glance that they gave us or something they said or a first impression. But your body knows. Your body knows when the vibes are bad because guess what? Everything exists as a vibration before it manifests physically. Don't wait around for the bad thing to happen before you trust your intuition. Trust your intuition. Trust that invisible feeling that you can't explain, but you just have a feeling. You just have a feeling about this person, about this opportunity, about this business deal. You just have a feeling. Women should trust their intuition so acutely, so viciously, as though their intuition is logic. I don't need to trust my intuition. My intuition is a fucking facts machine. I trust my intuition now like it's the definition of logic. It is never wrong. And the more I act on my intuition, I'm not going to say trust it, the more I act on it, the more I act on a weird vibe I get from someone, and so I don't text them again, the more I decide to follow an inspiration, even though it doesn't make sense to do so, and follow through with that plan, the more you act on your intuition before you receive the proof that it was right. It's like you collapse time and you speed up everything in your life, and it gets so much easier. So recently I was hanging out with a group of people and there was a man there, and immediately my body told me to avoid him at all costs. My body just screamed at me, avoid him, avoid him, avoid him, avoid him, right? Something about him, he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't do anything inappropriate, but my body said, avoid this man at all costs. And then 10 minutes later, my friend comes over with her dog. And this dog charges at the man and corners him in the room. The dog singles this man out and barks him into the corner. The man sort of brushes it off, fucking dog, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And then 5 minutes later, he gets up and says he's going to leave. And as he leaves the room, the dog gets up from its nap and chases the man out. Me and the dog both knew that this man was a bad fucking vibe. And you know what I sort of heard everyone else in the room doing while this man was being cornered in the room by the dog was they were joking. They were making little jokes like, that dog hates him just like me. And everyone was like joking about it. And I was like so in awe at how many people push and squash down their uncomfortable feelings about people that they hang out with, just to like keep the peace or some shit. But me and the dog instantly knew that this guy was bad. And that dog confirmed for me my gut instinct. I've never experienced anything like that in my life. I have never experienced an intuition with an animal about a man. Like, that felt really fucking magical. It also made me really want a dog because they know stuff. They're tapped into energy. Like, how did the dog know? Do you know what I mean? And I also knew. I knew as soon as the man walked into the room, and he didn't even do anything. And so what that speaks to is energy. And what that speaks to is how women know things in our fucking bodies before they happen. We all know when someone isn't good for us. But then the mind kicks in. Well, I'm sure they just had a bad day. Well, maybe they were tired. Well, after all they've been through. Well, I must just be over-exaggerating because of my trauma with men. Oh, well, oh, well, oh, well, oh, well, oh, well. It's this intuition squashing little fucking dance that we do because we feel so bad about like judging people. And I think if women just trusted more that their unexplainable feelings about people isn't them being crazy and judgmental, it's facts. See what happens in your life when you treat your intuition like a fucking facts machine. Like it's just printing straight up facts. This is so hard for women, especially women who've been in abusive relationships, emotionally abusive relationships, because an abusive relationship will contort your idea of reality. You squash your feelings and your truth so much because your controlling partner coerces you into believing their version of reality. So let's say you come home from work and you can smell another woman's perfume. Let's say you come home from work and something just feels off and your partner says that's all in your head. That's that new perfume you bought me. You're crazy, you're crazy, you're crazy, right? Women in controlling relationships squash their intuition so much. You don't even need to have had a history of abusive relationships as a woman to doubt your intuition. But it's even harder for women who have had a history of toxic relationships to trust themselves because, well, first of all, you have the fear that you don't make good choices because you ended up with this awful person in the past, right? So you're like, how do I know that I'm choosing right? How can I even trust myself to not do that again, right? And choose someone like that again. And then you have the second part, which is in the relationship that was toxic, controlling, abusive, right? In that relationship, the person was doubting and making you doubt your own reality. You would feel something, right? You'd bring it up with them. Hey, I didn't like it when you did that. And they would shut you down. That's all in your head. You're crazy. I love you. I would never do that to you. I would never make you feel like that. Pff, you're crazy. You didn't smell another woman's perfume. That's your perfume. You're crazy. I can't, after everything I won't even go into it anymore. It even makes me sick, faking being a gaslighter. But basically, you doubt your feelings so much in an abusive relationship. And I want to flip that on its head. If you're a woman who's been in an abusive relationship where the person made you doubt your reality, right? You knew something was up. And they worked you so hard, they got you to go, oh, I guess I didn't feel what I felt. I guess I didn't see that thing. I guess. Okay? If you are out of that relationship now and you're wondering, how can I ever trust myself to date someone again? How can I ever trust that I choose good people? And you're like sort of hiding yourself away from love, or you just don't know if you can trust yourself. I want you to actually use the fact that you always knew they were bad for you. You knew. I want you to use that as proof that you can trust yourself. You have a machine inside of you, your intuition, that tells you when people are bad fucking vibes, babe. Your intuition is this little thing inside you, and it sends you a little ping. You can trust yourself. You know. You always know. Women always know. I no longer wait for the proof of my intuition to manifest to trust it. I trust it and I change my course, right? I avoid that person. I unfollow. I change my route on my walk home because I know that man in the grocery store was not good vibes. I order a car home. I check in on that friend. I distance myself from that friend. Whatever the course correction looks like, I do it before the bad thing happens. Don't stick around to find out if they're really bad. You know. You know. You already know. And you don't need to stick this thing out longer to give them the benefit of the doubt just so you can tell everyone, well, I gave them so many chances. No. Don't be that woman. Don't be that understanding. No. Be a bitch. And you know what I mean when I say that. You know what I mean when I say be a bitch. I don't mean be an asshole. Be difficult. Be the version of yourself that you're afraid is a bit too dramatic, yeah? Your intuition is all the fucking proof you need. You have a sneaky suspicion. You have a feeling. And you can't explain it. I just don't know. There's something with this person. I can't put my finger on it. But I don't trust them. And I'm talking, by the way, about people that you've met in person. You felt that energy. Your intuition is the evidence. Believe it. Listen to it. And just shift. Shift away. Avoid them. Don't wait for them to prove to you that your intuition was right. That's where the wisdom comes in, is when women can learn to trust that the unseen, invisible hunches they feel about people is the intuitive magic that we have been gifted to protect us. That's what so much of patriarchy is about getting us to listen to external voices and doubt our intuition so that we go along with other people and just ignore what we already know. Every single woman I have ever spoken to that gets out of a horrible relationship says that she always knew. Me included. I always knew. Now, why we stay in those relationships is a whole other conversation, right? It's trauma bonding. It's emotional abuse. You feel like you can't leave. And when you do try to leave, they reel you in. They threaten to take their life if you leave them. The emotional control, it's deep. You feel like a bad person if you leave. They have their claws in you so deep. You know, on average, it takes like a woman 7 attempts to leave an abusive relationship successfully. The average, 7 attempts. So why women stay in those relationships, myself included, I stayed in one, right? You see a strong woman before you. It doesn't matter how strong or intelligent you are. Abusive relationships prey on your wounds and your level of self-worth and your emotions. Yeah? That's a whole other conversation about why we stay in things that we know aren't good for us, okay? But we know. We always know. Women always know. Women always know before the thing fucking happens. And the more you sort of shorten the gap between feeling an intuitive hunch about someone and acting on that hunch, it's like you speed up your entire life. You collapse timelines. Things that would have taken you years to learn happen in a day, a second, 10 minutes. Stop pretending that you don't know. They were weird, weren't they? They did say that thing. They did look at you funny. They did mean to hurt your feelings with that comment. You weren't crazy for feeling deflated after that dinner party. They were being an arsehole about you. Your partner is doing what you think they're doing. I trust this finds the right people. Women know. Women know. Your intuition is the fucking proof. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, Floss, you just suggested that my worst anxieties about my partner cheating on me are true. There is a difference between anxiety and intuition. Okay? And this is the age-old battle that I do not have the fucking answer for, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend to have it, okay? But you know. I'm sorry, you know. You know. Women just know. Stop pretending that you don't know. Stop collecting people and experiences in your life that you're keeping around for longer than is necessary because you're afraid that your intuition about them might be right. And so you're just kind of keeping them around, hoping that they prove your intuition wrong. It's never wrong. It's never wrong. Stop delaying the inevitable. We feel so bad for negatively assuming something about someone, but you're not assuming anything. You had an intuitive nudge. You know, I was once on a first date with a woman, and as soon as she walked in the door, my stomach got really tight, okay? And that's quite normal, you know, anxiety, whatever, butterflies. But as soon as she sat down, my entire body felt just repulsed. And I had to excuse myself to go to the toilet, and I was almost sick. Like nauseous, like heaving in the toilet, like dry heaving. And I was like, holy shit, I've never been this nervous for a date before. I told myself it was nerves, right? And so I go back to the date. We have a good night, whatever, but I can't get rid of this nausea in my stomach. And everything that she's saying to me feels like it's just sticking a dagger into my nausea even more. And I know that sounds really dramatic, right? And I was like 20 years old at the time. So we carried on the date and I was like, oh, I must be coming down with something. And do you know what I did? I intellectualized this feeling and I told myself, because she was twice my age. I think she was like 40. I told myself, I must just be so intimidated by her because I've never been with a woman this old before. I must just be so intimidated by her, right? Anyway, she ghosts me and I never hear from her ever again after that evening. And then a year down the line, I'm talking with a friend. And this friend brings up the name of the woman that I had this date with. And she tells me the most insane story about her. And she said, that woman is the darkest woman I have ever experienced in my life. She said, if you ever are around her, Florence, avoid her at all costs. And I told her, I said, my body knew. My body, but this friend of mine didn't know I'd been on this date with her. And I told her, my body knew. My body made me sick on this first date with her. I think that is the place where my intuition has manifested most violently. I was almost sick on a date with someone that had the most horrendous dark energy with intentions to use and manipulate people. And I knew before I knew a year later when my friend told me that she had an experience with this woman. I knew before I knew. Women know before we know. Our bodies feel it before we see it. Your intuition is a fucking fax machine, babe. Watch what happens when you trust it. So why do we do this to ourselves? Well, everyone knows that women are taught to be good girls, that we have this nice training. And it does kick in as a smart sort of survival mechanism for women in this world, because sometimes you have to fucking smile so the man doesn't kill you, right? Like, it's smart. We've evolved to be very smart creatures. But some of the time, most of the time, it holds us back. We have this idea of who we think we should be. We think we should be agreeable. We should give people second chances. We should be nice. We should be generous and compassionate and let everyone in. And so this story in our head of who we should be overrides our body's instinct. And so we develop this very disconnected relationship from our bodies, where we sort of live in our heads and we convince ourselves that people aren't who our bodies are telling us they are. And this happens with ideologies. This happens with religion and cults, people suppressing their feelings to fit into these extreme groups. This can happen with any ideology, even feminism. There are women that I've been friends with who have been absolutely fucking heinous. And I didn't want to see women that way. So I said, well, maybe it's because of her childhood. Maybe it's because of this. And this is the thing. Just because you can explain the reasons and the history of why someone might do something to hurt you because of their history, blah, blah, fucking blah, right? Just because you can explain it, that does not excuse it. You can explain someone's abuse of you and say, well, they have this disorder and they have this and they have this history, but that doesn't justify it. That's not your business. I'm sorry, it's not your business. And I'm fed up of women giving everyone the benefit of the doubt. People need to earn the right to the benefit of the doubt. You give people the benefit of doubt, by the way, once they have earned a good and solid reputation of being consistent and amazing with you, right? So a friend who has been there for you and has been amazing for a year, who suddenly has an off day and snaps at you, they deserve the benefit of the doubt. right? They're having a hard time. They've got so much stress they're bottling up, whatever. They deserve the benefit of the doubt. People who are consistently kind and compassionate to you in your life, but consistency takes time to build. Stop giving the benefit of doubt to fucking strangers. And I know this could almost counteract so much of my philosophy, which is being open, being compassionate. But as a woman, it's different for us. Be open, be an agent of love, give out kindness and compassion, but be fucking discerning. Be discerning about who you give it to and who you allow to continue to have access to your light. You have to be discerning. You have to be responsible with it. Not everyone's had access to it. Just because you're a good person, I'm sorry, it doesn't mean other people have the same compassion that you do. Some people don't even need to explain to women why they do the shitty things they do. Women create the reason in our heads and say, well, it's probably because of this, this, and this. And the person doesn't even need to make up some bullshit. You watch these like dating programs, you know, like Love is Blind and Perfect Match. I watched them recently. And it's like a study in watching how women do mental backflips in their heads to justify why the guy cheated on her so that she can just keep him. And you watch it in real time, you know? And they say at the end of the show, you know, we've been through so much and been through so many trials, and I think it really shows how strong we are as a couple. Meanwhile, the thing that they've been through is him. He's the thing that they have gone through. And the only reason that any relationship like that holds up is because the woman continually justifies in her head for the man. And he just continues to get away with awful shit. There is no prize for being the most loyal victim to other people's bullshit. Be a bitch. Be the crazy one that feels the weird shit and has the audacity and integrity and the self-worth to walk away because you know better's out there for you. You're not scarce. You're not lacking. You don't need to settle for this piece of shit. You don't need to settle for this job, this person, this situation. You don't need to cling to the crumbs that are being offered to you because you're good. And you know that something better is around the corner. You've got to keep turning away from the stuff that you know isn't good for you. And that's when you get what you deserve. And I'm not saying you don't deserve good things if you don't follow your intuition. You know, I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you're someone who's in a cycle of constantly experiencing the same lessons, life is asking you to finally have the fucking courage to listen to your intuition. That feeling, that weird conversation you had, that thing they said. Here's a good test for you, okay? If you're dating someone new or you've made a new friend, right? A good test with whether or not someone in your life is meant for you or not is, are they doing things that you would never tell your friends? Is the person you're dating or the new friend that you've introduced in your life, are they doing things that you could never tell your mum? Are they doing things that you would never tell your friends because if your friends knew, they wouldn't let you see his ass again? That's the test. If there is stuff that you can't say out loud about someone, because once you say it, they're never going to see this person the same again. Your friends can't look at you the same again, because every time they see you, they're going to know you're still with this asshole. Yeah? And when I say this, by the way, you don't need to act on it right away. I'm not saying do it right now, leave them now, whatever. Trust your gut now. But do it as soon as it's safe to. These situations can be very complex, but you can start creating an exit plan. And, you know, this goes for anything, but you can save years worth of emotional damage from a relationship that lasts 3 years, a shitty relationship, you can save yourself 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. You know, some people get married for longer than they know they're supposed to, right? Because they thought they should. You can save yourself years of emotional damage if you listen to your intuition now. You know. You know. Stop pretending you don't know. You know that they're not good news. You know that you're incompatible. You know that they do things that you could never tell your friends. You know that they're doing things that you could never tell your mum or your dad, whatever. And the sooner you act on that knowing, that intuition, that hunch, that feeling that you can't explain, something about them, you go, oh, something about them. Just something, oh, I feel like they're weird. Oh, but they have all this charisma. Oh, but they have all of these achievements and accomplishments. Oh, but they do this. Oh, but they say these good things. Oh, but have you seen him with his kids? Oh, he's lovely. A monster isn't a monster all the time. These people wear fucking masks, okay? How do you think they win people over? They're so charming. They know how to work people. And that mask comes down once they feel they've got you. Don't let them get you. And I'm not saying this to blame you. I've been there. I've been in horrible things like that. But women always know, okay? You know. And don't fucking wait for the proof to manifest in your life. Don't wait for this person that you've got a weird feeling about to royally fuck you over before you finally trust your intuition. I want you to do some crazy shit this week and honor your intuition before the bad thing happens. And honor your intuition for good things too. I followed my intuition to Los Angeles when it didn't make sense to anyone. And it's the best fucking decision I've ever made in my life. I want you to stop thinking of your intuition as this magical thing that you're not in touch with. And, oh, some women are really good at it and some women aren't. No. Every woman has an intuition, but some women let the story in their head of who they think they should be. I should be nice. I should be agreeable. I should give people second chances. Some women let the story override their body's gut feeling because women are trained to be nice and agreeable. And so what happens is, as you just kind of stop giving a fuck about what people think about you, you follow your intuition faster, life happens quicker because you dodge the lessons like speedy as fuck. And life feels like you're on a magical carpet ride and you feel like you're always safe in no matter whatever situation because you are always going to get yourself the fuck out. You're going to get out when you feel weird. You'll be in a concert. You'll be in a bar. You'll be in a cafe and go, I don't know why, but I feel like I need to leave. And you will fucking go. And you have no idea what you just saved yourself from. Even if it's running into an ex, even if you needed to leave the cafe because 10 minutes later down the street, you're going to run into a friend who's going to give you a job that you've been praying for. Trust the fucking hunches. Have fun with it. Trust the hunches. You need to start viewing your body as this instrument for your soul to express itself through, okay? And this instrument needs tuning. And your intuition it's in there. It's built in for you to use it. You just need to work on tuning yourself to your intuition. And you can tune yourself to what your intuition sounds like by having the courage to follow it. And guess what? If you feel like you're following your intuition and it turns out it wasn't your intuition, great. That's data for you to tune your machine. You go, oh, okay, that wasn't my intuition. So I know next time to not follow that feeling. You just need the courage to go out and express and make your own choices. At the end of the day, that's what it all comes down to, is you need the courage to make your own choices. That's honestly the number one advice that I would give to any woman, especially who's coming out of an abusive relationship or doesn't really know how to trust herself, is to just make her own fucking choices. that is the pathway back to trusting yourself. Act on your crazy, inexplicable hunches. And when you feel that weirdness, your body isn't responding to nothing. It's responding to energy. And energy is pre-manifestation. Everything is energy before it physically manifests, right? Things take time to become a physical reality. Don't stick around and wait for the energy to manifest into physical shit. When you feel that bad vibe between you and a person that you've just met at a party, don't stick around until it manifests into them hurting you. You know what's funny? I always know when someone's going to ghost me before they ghost me. Every single time. I've had it happen a few times in LA with friends. And I knew. It's so weird, I knew. And it was at a very sort of low cost to me because I just made these loose plans with people. And they flaked, all of them, and then never spoke to me again. And I was telling a friend of mine in LA who's a good fucking friend. I have really good friends here. And we were just laughing about it. We were like, who would ghost me? But it's never about you. I've been ghosted maybe like 50 times in my life. And it's never about you. It's always about the person. But I knew. I always know that someone is going to ghost me before they ghost me. Maybe it's the over-enthusiasm that someone has when they're making a plan or a date or something. That my body is like, this feels incongruent. This feels like they're going to flake. I always know when someone's going to ghost me. Right? So it's that energy. My body knew that this friend was going to ghost me. My body knew a few years ago when one of my friends hated me before she basically told me she hated me. We know. We know. And I don't play about my intuition anymore. Life's too short. Life is too short for you to ignore your intuition and just go along with something that you kind of have a weird feeling isn't right, only to be proven 2 years into a fucking relationship or a friendship that you were right the whole fucking time. Life's too short. Skip the timeline. Act on it now. Skip the 2 years it's going to take for you to prove that they were really horrible. You know now. You've heard something, you've felt something, you know now. You don't need to stick around and wait for someone to do something really bad in your life to just like tell everyone, well, I really tried with them. No, be the bitch that decides now, in this moment, I'm not sticking around to find out what I already know. You know. Stop pretending you don't know. You fucking know. Your energy is sacred. Act like it. Your time is sacred. Act like it. Let people earn their access to you. Everyone loves to say like, oh, protect your energy, right? But we don't actually like it when people enforce their boundaries. Because when people enforce their boundaries that protect their energy, so I can't go out tonight, I can't do this, I don't give my phone number out to people, I don't, whatever. We don't like it in practice because when women protect their energy, it means they revoke the fucking access that they have been spilling out their whole lives to other people. A woman setting boundaries and a woman protecting her energy in practice looks like a woman revoking her access that she was previously given out of obligation. So you actually just like experience less of women. And so we all like to say, protect your energy and women should protect their energy. But in practice, you might not like the execution, And on that note, you may not also like the experience of having standards, because having standards means that you're not as accessible to people, and so you are physically lonelier because you realize, oh shit, the people I was hanging out with, what the fuck was I doing, you know? You sort of realize, what the fuck was I doing? And part of you might want to go back to the blissful ignorance of not having standards. But you just got to hold on in that liminal space a little bit longer. Stay in that vibration. You have to stabilize yourself in this new frequency for long enough for the other things to be pulled in, for the new friendships and new relationships and new opportunities that are aligned with this you, this new you that has a higher standard for herself. She has to fucking stabilize. You have to hold on and not go back to the old you. You've got to hold on. And then all this beautiful aligned stuff is going to fall into place. It's going to lock in. But you have to hold on, okay? Your intuition knows. Save yourself the time and risk being seen as crazy for saying things like, I don't know why, but I need to leave. I have a feeling that I'm not supposed to be going on this date. Thank you, I've had a nice night, but I'm going to have an early night. I'm going to go home now. Practice leaving like that. Those are good. Those are good for us to end the episode on, because that's an embodied example of what this looks like in practice, yeah? So honoring your intuition looks like saying, I saw what I saw, and you cannot convince me otherwise. You know what I do with friends that I trust? I do what I call an intuition test. So say I'm out with a friend. I did this one time. I was shopping with a friend, and the woman that was working the shop had the weirdest fucking energy. And you know what? She didn't even say anything. She didn't even make any noises or anything. I just felt like I was an inconvenience in her shop. And I couldn't explain it, right? But as I left the shop with this new friend, I said to her, I said, did you feel a weird vibe from that woman? And she went, oh my God, yes, I did. She said, I thought I was crazy, but she had weird energy, right? And I said, yeah, she did. And then I said, I'm doing this thing where I announce when I feel a weird vibe and do an intuition check with other women to see if she also had that weird feeling. And then guess what? You don't bitch or gossip about the woman. You just confirm the intuition. You confirm the instinct. I did it when I first moved to LA a few months ago. I was in this beautiful hotel having breakfast. My outfit was impeccable. I matched the color of the bougainvillea flowers dripping off the walls. I looked exceptional. And this woman, who is a fan of my work, came over to me and said, oh my God, Florence, I love your work. She was crouching on the floor, chatting with me with her friend. And she asked me about my opinion of a certain man in my industry, right? And she said, Florence, what do you think about him? And I said, I think the fact that you asked says everything we need to know, and we don't need to say anything more than that. And her jaw was on the floor, and she said, oh my God. And she looked at her friend, they started laughing. And she said, you're right, we don't need to say anything else. And I think the fact that we both felt something says all we need to know. Neither of us have stories about this man. We just felt what I'm calling an incongruence. And an incongruence is when someone's words don't match their delivery. I don't know, you know, on social media, you can feel in your body when someone's saying something that's scripted, and you just know it. Even if their delivery is perfect, you know that it's scripted. You know that the feeling behind the words that they are saying is mismatched, because our bodies, they know, right? And so this man that we were talking about, he's not done anything wrong, But we both felt this incongruence. And I said, we don't need to talk about it further, but I think the fact that you asked me just now says everything we need to know. And so what we did was we kept our integrity. We didn't sit there gossiping about a stranger. You can check your intuition with other women by just asking them, have you felt, and isn't that like the origin of gossip? Like the real gossip that's good for you is just women fucking sharing stories and sharing our intuition and saying, did you feel this? Yes, I did feel this. And I felt this and I've heard this and da 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 da. And you can sort of get an intuition check. And you don't need to divulge. You don't need to sit there and create conspiracy theories about what it is. And is it this and is it this? You know, you can do it all without judgment. Women can check our intuition with one another without sitting there and feeling the thick shame of having gossiped about someone afterwards. It's never worth it. Chatting shit like that, it's just never worth it. I don't feel good. My throat closes up. God says no gossip from Florence Given, okay? Trust your intuition, you know. And a good way for you to start testing out your intuition is to do these little intuitive tests with yourself. Have fun with it, yeah? Intuition, it's not always keeping you from bad things. Sometimes she's guiding you to exactly what you've prayed for. Sometimes your intuition says that you need to leave your apartment and go for a walk, and it's because there's someone on a walk right now that you need to run into because they're going to change your life. Or they're putting up flyers right now for a job that you've just prayed for in the morning, and you need to walk past them, putting the flyers up for it to catch your eye long enough for you to apply for the job that's going to change your life. We're all a part of this big fucking orchestra. We're all playing our part. And as long as we sort of follow that intuition and we don't suppress our music, we don't suppress it and push it down, life can play this beautiful symphony where we're all working towards this bigger unfolding. And I think some people can get quite existentially, like, feel this existential dread at the idea that there's no purpose in life. But the way that I sort of have this optimism about the great unfolding of things is that it's all working towards not one thing. I think that's a lie. I think nothing is ever working towards one thing, but we are all collectively working towards a bigger, greater unfolding that's just going to go on forever. Everything is expanding. The world is expanding. The universe is expanding. We're expanding each other's lives, and we all play a part in each other's lives. And you just got to follow your intuition. Yeah? And guess what? If you get it wrong, right? The worst case scenario is that you made a really bad judgment on someone and you got it wrong. And guess what? You can apologize. And guess what? You don't owe access to everyone in your life. And guess what? Your intuition was reacting to something. Most of the time, you're fucking right. Stop pretending you don't know. I love you so much. Thank you for listening to the Florence Given Show. And I'll see you next week. Mwah! Love you, bye.